Jeb Bush can't seem to make up his mind about immigration. Back when Romney was campaigning to become the president, he basically criticized Romney for being against a pathway to citizenship. In fact, according to the Miami Herald, he said Bush at that time supported the DREAM Act. He was very supportive of that. Also, Bush warns Republicans about the dangers of adopting hardline rhetoric when it comes to immigration. Mitt Romney moved so far to the right on immigration issues that it proved all but impossible for him to appeal to Hispanic voters in the general election. So all of a sudden, Jeb Bush sounds like he's pretty open-minded when it comes to immigration, but not so fast. Here's Jeb Bush on the Today Show talking about pathway to citizenship, where he does a little bit of a flip-flop.
But you do not want to offer them a path to citizenship. If they do all the things you've asked them, why not grant them that right to be an American?
Because this, our proposal is a proposal that looks forward. And if we want to create an immigration policy that's going to work, we can't continue to make illegal immigration an easier path than legal immigration.
Okay, so there's a big flip-flop right there. You go on to criticize Romney and how he's too hardline when it comes to no pathway to citizenship, and then you turn around and go on the Today Show and say, like, yeah, I'm not really for a pathway to citizenship either. What do you guys think?
Well, and then today say, well, maybe we should have a pathway to citizenship. He's gone back and forth twice now in the span of like 36 hours.
Right, and that's the video that we originally showed you guys. Yeah, so there's a bit of a flip-flop. So what do you guys think is going on behind the scenes? Like, why is he changing his mind so much?
Oh, I think he's changing his mind because the GOP overall seems to be pretty incoherent when it comes to their immigration policy, because they realize they have the demographics that are working against them, especially for long term, and they've got to say something in order to not push off all of the Hispanic and Latino communities across the United States. So with this incoherent policy, I'm not sure even he knows what he thinks. I'm having a hard time sorting it out from 1 minute to the next, what he's saying.
But isn't it a perfect example of politicians, and I know that Republicans and Democrats both do this, right? Where they don't really stand for anything, and they just kind of listen to what the rumors are, they listen to what the criticism is, and they flip-flop based on what the polls indicate. So in this case, he criticizes Romney, and he gets a lot of backlash from the GOP. And then he goes on to get backlash, and then he, changes his mind and says, oh, you know what, I'm not for a pathway to citizenship anyway. And then, the pro-immigration advocates come out against him and they criticize him, and then he flip-flops again. Yeah. So it's kind of incredible because you have like these older politicians who seem completely unaware of the fact that everything is on the record. We can go back and watch any video showing that you've changed your mind and you flip-flopped numerous times within like an 8-month span.
Yeah. We talked about this yesterday, Ben and I thought at the time we had a pretty good read on the political calculus that was going into the move that he made yesterday, not today's move, when he was trying to sort of undercut Rubio and to a lesser extent Ryan and possibly Walker when it comes to the immigration issue, not with the general electorate, who is generally more liberal, is okay with immigrants in general, to a greater extent than the primary electorate, but to try to appeal to the base, basically. But we should bear in mind that I don't think that move yesterday was based on any particular poll. Nothing happened earlier this week that caused him to do that, which is why it seemed like he must have been thinking about it for a while, and he's trying to plan out how exactly he's going to run in 2016 and how he's going to undercut these other conservatives. But then also today, I mean, he's been criticized, but I hardly think that the criticism he's faced from the first flip-flop is so harsh that that's causing him to backtrack. I think that maybe in hindsight he just hasn't really thought through exactly what he wants his policy to be.
If he's planning to run for office, though, this is not the right way to go about it. I mean, that's like the number one thing that Romney got criticized about. We were constantly making fun of the fact that he was a flip-flopper, that he wasn't really devoted to any particular cause or any type of political belief, So you're seeing the same thing happening with Jeb Bush when it comes to this particular issue. I don't know if that's the right way to go about it politically.
But not among the base. I mean, remember that Romney's flip-flops didn't really matter to the base, and we could talk about it all we wanted till we were blue in the face, but the base didn't care. The Tea Partiers really didn't care. They sensed that he was inauthentic, but in the end they voted for him. So I think what Jeb Bush might be doing here is the difference between the base and business. He may be wanting to appeal to the base, but big business wants to have their special visas for high-skilled workers to stay here. They want to have their ability to get low-skilled workers so they can have their cheap farm workers. So that might might be what's going on, something behind the scenes where he's getting slapped back from big business.
Well, Harry Reid doesn't want to give him much credit when it comes to like any type of intelligent strategy when it comes to running for office. In fact, Harry Reid had some pretty harsh words to say about Jeb Bush.
Let's wait for a few minutes and see how Jeb Bush changes his mind again. His opinion on immigration is not evolving, it's devolving. He keeps going backwards. I think he's frankly made a fool of himself the last 24 hours. Frankly, on this issue, I don't think Jeb Bush is a Florida leader. I think Marco Rubio is. Bush has been elected to nothing lately. Rubio is the leader on immigration.
I'm not sure that I agree with him on that, but at the same time, I'm kind of amused at him calling Jeb Bush a fool.
I think that comment is fine. I think that there he's referencing the fact that at least Marco Rubio is willing to work with the other side, at least to some extent, in a way that it doesn't seem. It's hard to tell because we don't know exactly what Jeb Bush now thinks, but that he apparently would not be willing to if he was actually against a pathway to citizenship. Although, as I alluded to, I think yesterday, and it seems like this might be the case, I think that he's really trying to have his cake and eat it too, that he wants to be able to say, I'm not for a pathway to citizenship, but then turn around and actually make something else that is not called a pathway, but actually is, while at the same time being able to talk every time he goes on the news about how I don't want to give any special benefits to these lawbreakers, these lazy people who are trying to get in front of the line. Like, he wants to be able to attack Hispanics using these stereotypes so that the base will find that to be quite appealing. But as you said, the business will like the actual law being passed, even if it's not called a pathway to citizenship.